What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's excellent to have you here as always, and thank you for watching. Today we're talking about a product that actually isn't a firearm product. They are pretty firearm friendly, but it's this guy right here. This is a headlamp from PowerTac, and the story goes like this. I was going out west to go hiking for 2 weeks, and I felt as though I needed an auxiliary emergency headlamp type thing, and it just so happens that they make one. So I had them send it to me, and I've been testing it ever since. Now, luckily, I did not have to test it in an emergency capacity while I was out there, but I did get some pretty pictures you guys should see on screen. So here's the thing. Normally, I do the night vision, nighttime stuff from the range because there's lots of stuff to look at out there. The only problem with that is the last time we did a PowerTac video, I ran out of room to test stuff because the range is in a basin and you really couldn't tell a difference between the high mode and the turbo mode because there wasn't enough space. So now we're out in the middle of a field. We've got enough space this time. So future Curtis is going to go ahead and give you a rundown of the specifications and controls of this headlamp from PowerTac, and then we're going to go ahead and show you what it does out here in the field. The PowerTac HL-10 Explorer is a multi-spectrum variable power headlamp designed to do headlamp things. The first thing you'll notice about the unit is that the body is made out of metal, but it still only tips the scales at just around a quarter pound. It uses the J-hook system for attachment, and many of you will know this as the GoPro mount. The unit is powered by a single 18650 lithium-ion high discharge rechargeable battery that is charged with an included magnetic cable. To indicate charging, one of the buttons on the top turns red. This indicator changes to blue when a full charge has been achieved. That same red indicator shows up when the battery is low and flashes red when the battery is critically low. Speaking of the buttons, they work in tandem as controls. Each button corresponds to the side it will activate, and the other changes the mode. Starting with button 1, port side. Pressing it activates the main beam. While on, pressing button 2, the starboard button, will cycle the output through low, medium, high, and turbo. Regardless of whether or not the unit is powered on, holding button 1 will put the lamp into SOS mode. Similarly, pressing it twice rapidly goes into strobe. These modes activate at max power, but otherwise the device remembers the output setting previously set. Let's move over to button 2. By itself, it activates the diffuse side of the headlamp. It has the same functions for SOS and strobe mode, but when button 1 is pressed, it changes the spectrum of light. White light, red light, IR. The SOS and strobe functions on this side of the lamp remember the spectrum of light you are working in. Max output for this thing is 2500 lumens, and on that setting, this is my measured burn time under ambient conditions. Anyway, before we time warp back to see how it does, I want to let you guys know that PowerTac offers VSO viewers a pretty hefty discount on their entire store. I'll have that code listed in the description box down below, as well as over on the affiliates page. Full disclosure, in the interest of transparency, use of that code does generate a commission that goes back to me. So if you feel so inclined, if it's something you're looking for, you want to support the channel, then hey, buy something cool. Can you guys hear those coyotes? They're going off right now. Should have brought a rifle with me so I could go hunting. I have my nods right there. Shoot. Opportunities missed. And now past tense Curtis is back. You're gonna have to bear with me for a second though, because this is gonna be dark. Okay, so here we go. This is low mode, and there's the trail. You can see right there in front of me, that's about 15 yards away. And if I go like this, that hillside is a maximum of probably like 50 yards away. Going up to medium. Medium mode. High. See, we're getting pretty bright. Turbo. Yeah, we're getting really bright. So let's go all the way up to turbo here. That high tension tower there is about 150 yards away. All right, low mode looking the opposite direction at the trail right now. Low, medium, high, turbo. Now let's change what we're doing. We're going to turn the light off And now we're going to go to the diffuse side. So there's white light diffused, red light diffuse, and then IR. You can't see anything, right? This is probably also really bad for me, but you know, this is for science. When I go like this, you guys can see what's actually going on here. And when I go to regular color light, you can see that there's a little bit of an indicator. Normally we like our IR lights to be completely invisible. This one has a little bit of a red indicator. And in my opinion, that's important for safety because this is a supplemental light source or an emergency light source. This is not a primary illumination source for like combat or anything like that. This is auxiliary. So the reason I'm not currently wearing my nods is because I'm not super familiar with the button sequence on this thing. I haven't spent hundreds of hours testing the thing, and I haven't spent all that time being exactly sure what buttons I'm pushing when. So I didn't want to ND this into my nods and damage them. I know now how to get there and do it proficiently enough, and I know that this indicator is going to give me a good idea that we're on IR mode and that it can be completely compatible. So I thought about the utility of this from a signaling standpoint. Like, you set this thing down, you need to signal. So I'm going to go ahead, now that I've got this thing set up, put my nods on, and we'll see what it looks like. As you can see, we've got some brightness going on here. I'm just going to set this thing here, and we're going to walk back to the truck. So that is the strobe basically pointing straight up in the sky. What you guys are seeing here is actually a couple different lighting sources. The big one in the background is the power company over 1.5 miles away. Those are white lights. The flashing light that you're seeing is the power tack on IR mode, on SOS mode. And you can see it just fine, even with all that light pollution. So the HL-10, I think it's a fairly versatile headlamp. It's also ruggedly built. All of the footage except for what was taken on the trip was taken after the trip. So this is what it looks like after it walked around with me for 2 weeks. That's pretty good. Not all of my gear fared that well. Now, as far as headlamps are concerned, I have actually a decent amount of experience with headlamps because we used to have, long story short, a problem with invasive hogs in this area. Not nearly to the level at which they had them down in Texas, or have them down in Texas, excuse me. We don't really have that problem here anymore. Anyway, there's a lot of crap available out there on the market. I can honestly say, though, that the HL-10 ain't it. Don't forget about the discount code available for VSO subscribers, listed in the description box and over at the affiliates page. Use that to good effect if you guys are interested. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next one here at the VSO Gun Channel. Because I only get a fifth of the stuff on video that is good. Most of the stuff that's really good, I miss because the camera's not on. Like today.